everybody, welcome to the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad in Wyoming. Today is August 3rd, 2022, and this is Layout Update Video number 33. I'm Mark Pruitt, Chicago and Northwestern baggage car attendant. In the month of July, I eased up on work on the layout a little bit. I'd spent a lot of time in May and June working on the area between Casper and into the Wind River Canyon, and I was just getting a little bit burned out. But I did work on the ground cover a little bit between Casper and Powder River and spent quite a bit of time on that Sidem kit that never seems to be completed. Hey, if you enjoy the video, why not click that little red locomotive down in the lower left corner of the screen and subscribe to the channel? All you have to do is one click. Let's take a look at what happened on the layout during the month of July.
Right after posting the July update video, I headed into the basement and taped up the track between Casper and the canyon in preparation for more plasterwork. Then I started painting a tinted, very runny base layer of hydrocal over the plaster cloth I'd laid down before, beginning at Showbon and working my way back into Powder River. I got all the way to the end of the plaster cloth, and then I had a decision to make. Should I wait to proceed farther until I had plaster cloth laid from Powder River to Casper, or paint the runny hydrocal right onto the pink foam and see what happened? I decided to keep on adding the hydrocal. By the 8th of July, the plaster coating reached all the way back to Casper. At this point, I came to almost a complete standstill on scenery in the area for a couple of weeks. While I was adding the hydrocal layer at Powder River, I picked up some sanded grout from Menards to use as dirt. The colors I picked were called Silverado and Pearl. These will be mixed together in various ratios to provide the basic dirt texture over most of the layout. About the time I finished painting on the hydrocal near Casper, the replacement decoder and a keep alive for my doodlebug arrived. I installed them on July 9th and tested them out. Motor control in the TCS decoder sure has improved since I installed the first one in the doodlebug back in the early 2000s. The doodlebug runs better than ever. Also on the 9th, I sprayed the lone sagebrush bush I'd made with dull coat to kill the shine and placed it on the layout. Not too bad for a first attempt, but I know I can do better. Here's a wider shot of that same area with the sagebrush. Here's the sagebrush bush. I'm going to need an assembly line for all this stuff. On the 14th, I added the front porch roof and supports to the Sidem structure kit, then glued on the porch roof a press board representation of corrugated metal sheets using Super 77 adhesive. After that, I went back over to the Powder River area to work a little more, but I'll cover that after I go over the rest of the kit build. I spent over a week painting and installing fascia trim boards and painting the sawdust cyclone parts. On the 24th, as I was preparing the roof cyclone and sawdust pipes for installation, I started detailing the roof. Like the porch, the roof is just corrugated pressboard. Pretty basic, and I wanted something that looked a bit more realistic than that. Using painter's tape, I masked out an 8-foot wide section of roof. Then I used a plain old pencil and a straight edge to outline 4-foot wide panels and applied some rust-colored paint to the panels using a makeup sponge. It's not a super detailed masterpiece by any means, but it is a significant improvement over the large, unbroken expanse I started out with. And I wasn't quite done yet. I picked a name and an industry for the building, created a sign in PowerPoint, and applied it to the building front. The kit is the Grand Junction Box Factory, but as you can see on my layout, it's the Todd Brothers Crate and Pallet Company. I continued working on the roof, adding the base for the sawdust cyclone. Then I added powdered chalks to the roof to kill the pressboard shine and blend and soften the rust-colored paint a bit. I think this looks better than just the paint. The slightly blurry photo also helps a little bit. I added the cyclone and its pipes and the incinerator to the back of the building. I set it in place temporarily on the Empire State Oil Spur in Thermopolis. It's not going to stay here. It will ultimately wind up in either Worland or Grable, I think. I still have to add weathering to the sides of the building using chalks, and of course it needs a lot of details added when it's permanently placed. But other than the weathering that I'll do in the next few days, it's finished for now. Back to the Powder River area. On the 20th, I began experimenting with the tile grout ground texture, beginning at the edge of Casper. Here's what it looked like before I added the grout. And here's how the first area looked afterwards while the grout was still wet. By the evening of the 21st, I'd worked my way over to the Powder River turnout. Then it was back to the Sidem kit for a few days. On the 30th, I was again back at Powder River, this time adding a bit of static grass. This looks pretty bad right now, but this is just the very beginning of final scenery in the area. Here's a sample of what I hope the finished prairie grass scenery will look like. Finally this month, on July 19th, I posted a video showing how I installed the Wifitrax WFD-31 and how I use it on my layout. You'll find a link to that video in the description. And that's it. A shorter update this month than usual because I took it a bit easy. In August, I plan to spend more time on the layout than I did in July. I'm going to try to put together a few new tank cars and continue developing the scenery between Casper and Powder River. I might also pick up a couple sheets of oak veneer plywood and build more of the Worland-Grable Peninsula. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next month.